Okay.
Now we're
Got
here.
it.
So,
Yes.
welcome everyone to another episode of my podcast. This is like, I think the first time I actually recorded it first before I put the audio up. So, it's
Okay.
going to be nice to just talk to Raina today and get to
Hi,
know her
guys.
more. And she's a really cool person. And you'll see why
Thank
during this
you.
interview. So, if you can like do a brief introduction.
Okay, so
So,
my name is Terrna. Oh, okay.
yeah.
So I'm Terrna, originally from the Bronx. I live in Brooklyn now. My passion, just my whole thing is wrestling. I do have other interests, but everybody just thinks I love wrestling or everything, but I have everything going for me. I have 2 kids. Um, yeah, I'm pretty much a stay-at-home mom and I just do my website. I do YouTube. Sometimes I need to get back on YouTube and I'm about to start wrestling soon.
So, I think my first question for you, as I
Okay.
ask any other wrestling fan slash friend, because a lot of my best friends are wrestling fans. It's kind of like
Nice.
the way that I've like came up, kind of like my little misfit group. Like that's all we would talk about wrestling, or we would talk about anime, comic books, and all that sorts of things. So,
Same,
like for
same.
you personally, how did you get into wrestling?
Crazy because my grandmother got me into wrestling. She like growing up, as far back as like as far back as I can remember, she like taped all the old 80s wrestling from probably 70s too, from like Ric Flair to Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Randy Savage, and Shawn Michaels. Even in the 90s, we sat there and watched wrestling all the time. So as far back as I can remember, my grandmother was a wrestling fan and she raised me. So like we just sat there and watched wrestling all the time.
I think it was like the
Yep. So that's how
opposite for
that
me.
started.
It was the opposite for
Yeah.
me. I got my grandmother into wrestling, and she would like be
Really?
screaming at the TV at like some of the matches, especially
Yes.
we had like old WCW tapes that we would watch. And my
Yes.
favorite moment was, I think it was like an Eddie Guerrero versus Ric Flair match, and she was like screaming at the
Ooh.
TV the entire time.
My grandmother, she was more of a WCW one too, because I love WWF, but we had our own little war. Like she was WCW, I was WWF. That's
Wow.
crazy that you mentioned that.
That's interesting. So what did she like think of
Yeah.
WWF? Was she wasn't like into it, or she didn't really
No,
enjoy
she
the footage?
was, but she loved like I said, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man. So when they jumped ship to WCW, she was all WCW. She was like, I don't know these new people. I don't know The Rock. I don't know Stone Cold. Little did she know, years later they would be big. But you know what I mean? She didn't really like the new guys. So she stayed with WCW. That's what that was.
That's really interesting. So would you say that, watching wrestling with your grandmother growing up, that kind of influenced you to want to do it, or are there any
Yes.
other factors that influenced you?
That and the fact that I grew up predominantly around boys. Cause like I'm not
Me
an only
too.
child, but yeah, you know what I mean? Like I'm not an only child. I'm the oldest of 5, but like I grew up around boys in my neighborhood. Like I didn't hang out with the girls so much because I'm a tomboy. I didn't like to like jump rope and like paint nails or whatever. I like to play video games and basketball. So like being around them, they talked about wrestling too. And they used to play around, play wrestling was always a thing. And they used to play wrestle with us. And my grandfather would be like, that's too rough. She's a girl. But I was just like, no, I want to do this. So yeah, that and
Yeah.
like watching Stone Cold Steve Austin too. That was like a big thing because he was like the biggest thing in wrestling back in the day. And I was like, I want to do that, and China as well. Stone Cold and China, like really watching them growing up made me want to do it. Like, dang, if she could do it, I can do it. She was like the only female back then, So that's really what made me want to do it.
Yeah.
That's really,
And I 100% agree on China.
yeah.
I'm kind of like on the younger side, but I was
Oh,
introduced to China through TNA wrestling. She had like
really?
she had a little brief stint in TNA, and she kind of like rekindled her feud with Jeff Jarrett. They feuded back in
Right. I
WWF.
do remember that.
So I was like, who is this woman? Like, I want to look her up. So I was like looking her up on
Right.
YouTube, and then I started seeing like her work with DX and her winning the
Yes.
Intercontinental title. I was like, that blew my mind because I
Right.
was like still kind of like I didn't really like understand like all about wrestling, but I was just like really excited about it. So I was like, I've seen this woman. She's probably like 5'10", 6 feet tall, She's beating up dudes probably near her size, bigger than her, like definitely smaller than her. And it was like
and even smaller.
And then I really started like watching like Eddie Guerrero and Undertaker. Those were my earlier favorites as well, especially Eddie. Eddie was just charismatic. It didn't even matter.
He loves Eddie.
Like it didn't even matter that he was smaller in size. It was just like his charisma just showed, and you couldn't help but like fall for him, even when he was a bad guy. Like I remember cheering him on when he was a bad guy. Like he was like the first real bad guy that I cheered on, besides like the baby faces.
Exactly. Yeah.
He was incredible.
I loved Eddie. Like I remember the first time I saw Eddie was when he was with China. Like when they did that Mamacita. Remember they did that?
That was so
I was like, I love them so much. I was just like, well, who is this guy? Because I stopped watching, like I was on and off watching wrestling back in the day. Because like my grandmother wouldn't let me watch it sometimes. I don't know. But yeah, when I came back to it, I was like, who is this with China now? Why China looks good? You know, because she femmed up, like she made herself look more girly. Because I loved her before when she was like DX's bodyguard. But when she became Eddie's like lover, I was just like, wow, these two are good together. And Eddie's, like you said, he was smaller, but he was very charismatic and he can move, he can go, you know, just because he was smaller. And then they put the strap on him, the belt, and I was like, yeah, you know. So Eddie was another one.
Yeah,
Eddie was another one.
And in regards to like, you know, just women's wrestling in general, being that, you know, you were a tomboy growing up, did you really identify with other women's wrestlers besides China, or did that not come until later on?
It didn't come till later, because when I grew up with the Attitude Era, it was pretty much like, who was it? Sable and Tori, not Tori Wilson, but Tori from DX, you know, all the blondes. And I'm not taking anything away from them because, okay, they were there. But I really love Sherry Martel, Sensational Sherry. Later on, when I like, she worked with Harlem Heat in WCW, and I was like, who is this woman? Like, she's charismatic as well. She could talk, you know. And then I found out she was Shawn Michaels' valet back in the day, and I was like, oh, this woman. And she was a wrestler. Her, the Fabulous Moolah, and all of them back in the day. I didn't know there was a league of women's wrestlers that Vince kind of cut off in the 90s, you know. So I was like, wow. Yeah, I was like, wow, this is incredible. There were women's wrestlers before then, you know. So that was good to know.
Yeah, my knowledge of like women's wrestling started like through the Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era, which is kind of like my beginnings. So that was like kind of like my knowledge of women's wrestling at that time. So when I like began looking into the history of WWE, and then like going all the way back to like the rock and wrestling era in the 80s, I'm like, oh yeah, like these women were like charismatic. You had like you said, Sherry Martel. I love Sherry. She played the heel character so well.
So well.
Especially when she
you love to hate her.
She was like with Shawn Michaels and then Macho Man Randy Savage. It's just like she had a way of like making those wrestlers like look even more like edgier or more dislikable, or you just want to hate them even more because she was
exactly. Exactly. And the fact that she sang Shawn Michaels' first theme song, I was like, wow. And nobody else in history did that. Saying a wrestler's theme song. You know what I mean? That's cool. That's just so cool.
It's rad. And just to think of like how far women's wrestling has come over the years. You know, the look has really changed. Especially when you think of like us as African American women. You think back in the day, you know, African American women weren't featured as prominently. Like, yeah, you had like Jazz and Jacqueline, you know, those two, they were holding it down. I don't know other women in other promotions like Awesome Kong. You know, she was like really big. She was like popular in Japan, you know, she did her thing over there. But now it's just like more Black women are being pushed to the forefront in wrestling. So when you watch wrestling, especially growing up, do you feel like there was a kind of like that block of like representation, like, oh, I love these women, but I wish there was more like women that look like me on TV? Because that's kind of
absolutely. Absolutely. No, yeah, because like I said, back in the day, you had women's wrestlers. I guess you could say, I don't want to say they're wrestlers because Vince had his vision of women's wrestlers back in the day, you know, but like me, I grew up watching mostly the men, and even then there wasn't really a lot of colored men in wrestling. Nation of Domination maybe, but then they just threw them into one stable. You get what I'm saying?
Just put them in like a stereotypical box.
You're right. Exactly. So that was just like, oh, that's cool, but where's women like me? You know what I'm saying? So like you said, Jacqueline and Jazz came later on, but even then they were still like, okay, we can give you the belt, but we're gonna have to give it back to Trish or Lita one day. Which I'm not taking nothing away from Trish and Lita because they're bomb too, even still. But like, you know, like where was us? I was really looking for that growing up. And when Jacqueline came to the scene, she fought Sable. I was just like, okay, then we have our first Black women's champion. But nobody talks about that nowadays. She was our first Black women's champion.
Yeah, I really feel like in terms of women who really impacted WWE during that era, I feel like Jacqueline is not talked about as much.
Yeah.
Not in Jazz either, because she was like in those high pressure situations too. So it kind of makes me a little sad.
It does. She's
also talented, like
right.
And going outside of WWE, like for me personally, I got really into, lucha libre, Japanese.
Yes, me too.
Me personally, because of lucha libre, most wore the mask, so it's kind of like that mystique.
Mm-hmm,
like, okay,
right.
You know their ring name, but you don't know their real life personas. You don't know their personal life, so it's just like a lot left to be discovered. So that's kind of like what got me into lucha libre, and just like the fast-paced movement and just how like smoothly executing, like crisp the movement.
So it's like watching art in motion to me.
Absolutely.
Like watching that, yeah.
And then in Japan, it was more like hard hitting. Sometimes some of the shows like Stardom, you have like women, they have like their little characters and their outfits and their little
so
actions.
Cute. I love Stardom. I just actually started watching that like maybe 2 months ago. I was like, wow, what was I missing? This is cute. And it's I love
amazing.
It.
I started watching Stardom probably around 2013, 2014.
Oh.
So that's when I got into Io Shirai and Kana, better known as Asuka now. So that's how I got into them. And I like how they combine the wrestling, but they also have like their characters, and then they do like little dance routines like during their
so cute and animated. I love it.
I love it. Probably because I'm like a big lover of Japanese culture in general. So
same.
It's a plus. It's a plus for me. But now we're like in like this era of like the women's evolution. Like, in your opinion, do you think that the purpose of the evolution has like accomplished its goals, or do you think it's kind of like there's still some things that need to be addressed?
I think it's a little bit of both, because like I feel like the point of the women's evolution, I should say, was to get women's wrestling on the map, which it has done. You see, like they're in the main event now. Look at Bianca Belair and Sasha. They were in the main event of Wrestle Freaking Mania. That's big for us colored women. You know what I'm saying? I would love to see that growing up. That's the type of stuff I wanted to see growing up. So I feel like it served its purpose, but we still have more, especially when it comes to WWE. I'm just talking like in general, but when it comes to WWE as well, they have more to accomplish. But everywhere, it's like you see women wrestling everywhere now. And it's like, it's the best. It's as best as ever been, but they still have more to give.
I think for me, like growing up, when I was watching like, just wrestling in general, like you see like the men, they will be in steel cage matches, tables matches.
Yeah.
And I was like, how come the women are like in those matches? So
exactly.
I went and I watched like TNA wrestling. I say TNA because that's like how I acknowledge it. Like
I remember
2009 to 2014 TNA, that's like my favorite era. So then you see the knockouts. They were like these badass women. They were in like 6 sides of steel matches and tables matches, ladders and chairs. Even the first blood match, they had one of those matches. Falls Count Anywhere. I was like, wow, why isn't WWE doing this?
Right.
They even had like their own women's pay-per-view in 2013 called Knockouts Knockdown. And I was like, dude,
that was great.
Was
it's right here, right? Like it's right here, Vince. Can we please, I mean, granted, they did do it, but years later, and they still have yet to give us more, because we want to see more of the Women's Evolution pay-per-view. We need 2, 3, 4, you know what I mean? And like with TNA, back in that era of 2009 and 2014, the women were kicking ass, like seriously.
Yeah, they were.
And you know, like
everybody paid attention to them, and they had the main women's title. They had tag straps. You know, they were.
Yeah, man, and it was just like. Yeah, and it's like WWE had the wrestlers, they had the women, but they just didn't want to do anything with them. Like maybe 𝘰𝘰𝘠𝘭𝘪 at that time, 𝘰𝘰𝘠𝘭 was doing their thing, but they had to split a belt literally.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just like I feel like WWE had probably just as much, if not even more, like tag teams. Like prior to making of those tag straps, they had the Bella Twins, the Funkadactyls. You know,
they had tag teams that made sense.
Divas of Doom, like they had all these tag teams that made sense. It's like, how couldn't they have made these straps then? So I was happy when they made the tag titles, but I was like, they could have made this.
What are you right? And then I was so scared. It's like every time WWE makes any type of decision, I get nervous. Like, okay, that's good, but what are you gonna do with it? You know, like that's how I felt when they introduced the tag team titles for the women. I was like, wow, this is amazing, because they were here before. Like we had women's tag team titles in the WWE before, but this was way back in the 80s or maybe 70s. I'm not sure, but they were there before. But I was just like, you know, what are they going to do with them? You know, and then the way that Bayley and Sasha lost, I was like, they could have carried it for a longer time. You know, so at that point, I was just like, they failed. Well, not failed, but they're decreasing in, you know what I mean? Like status. So I'm just like, but I love the fact that Natty and Tamina are champions now. I do like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Given like their background, their lineage, wrestling,
they deserve it, both of them.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, especially Tamina.
Oh my goodness, it was about time.
I have a soft spot for Tamina, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I love her. Her family, like the whole Anoa'i Fatu family, I love them. Like their whole lineage is perfect.
They're like my favorite wrestling family. Like
yes.
Like I remember when Tamina debuted, like with the Usos, like I felt like, okay, this woman's gonna be a threat. She's gonna get title strap, like
disappointed. I was so disappointed after like a year. I was like, well, what are they doing with her? You know?
It was like there were some times where they did put her in like a Divas title matches. I was just like, okay, they probably should have gave her the strap at that time. So right. It's kind of sad. And then on top of that, then she had like injuries and whatnot, and then that kind of like
that kind of derailed it too.
Put her out, but I'm like, man, come on now. Like I really thought they were going to put on her like back at least 2010, 2011 ish.
At least, but I mean, the women's division wasn't. I don't want to say it wasn't right, because Vince had all the tools he like needed, but he just, I don't know. We know Vince's brain isn't right sometimes, you know.
I mean, literally, like put like the women's division like on the shelf in like early 1990, because he was
just kept it there for a whole 20 years almost.
I was like, bro, really?
Yeah, man. It's like always with him. It's like right in front of his face, but he doesn't see it.
Yeah, and like even when like the WWF, they had like women's tag team titles, but the thing is, only like 2 or 3 teams held those titles, but they held them for long periods of time. So
right.
What was the point?
Right. It's like you didn't even have a bunch of, you know, people fighting for it, or even like, you know, stories behind it or whatever. Even nowadays, it's like you just throw teams together and hey, here's a tag team. No, makes no sense.
It makes me sad because I love tag team wrestling growing up.
Me too.
Which I kind of want to ask you, who are some of your favorite tag teams, male or female? Like for me, Hardy Boys, because they're North Carolinians just like I am. So gotta represent. And I just love like the whole concept of that team. They're just doing this crazy, extreme, badass stuff, and I particularly am a fan of Jeff Hardy, probably because he's like very creative, not only like in his ring gear, but he was singing his own theme music, you know, he's like recording albums, and you know, everything was just like a very tight package with him. But I enjoyed like the whole team as a whole, and then he had Lita in there, and that just added another element to it. And then also like Edge and Christian, the Dudley Boys, Harlem Heat, the Steiner Brothers, you know, even like the NWO, like those tag teams that they had in that group. Tons of different tag teams. I can go all day, but
Yeah, I know.
you kind of get me. So
you
like,
kind of named like half of my list, like right there. But no, like I love tag team wrestling, but you don't really see it a lot no more. But you do, but like those tag teams that belong together, that grew up together type thing. You know what I mean? But who were some of my favorite tag? I want to say Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty back in the day were some of my favorites. Like one of the best tag teams out there. Team Extreme, like you said, Edge and Christian, the Dudley Boys, Ray and Eddie, they were good for a while. I love them as a tag team. Yes. Los Guerreros too, and even oh my God, the Radicals, Chris Benoit, and everybody. You know, I love them as a team.
Yes, I love them.
Stable. I mean, they're more of a stable, but you know, they were great. Yeah, pretty much.
I think another team. There was another team that I like. I don't really think I could count them as a team, but I know like ECW. I think it's like Sabu and RVD. I think they were a team at one point.
They were good too, yeah, actually.
I liked them better as rivals, but I did enjoy them as a team too.
Because they both have that high flying style that just like you're always on the edge of your seat watching Sabu. RVD as well, to his respect, but my goodness, Sabu was something else.
Sabu was like a one-man wrecking ball. I mean,
yes,
body do these craziest things. But I think like for me, like I love like that hardcore style of wrestling.
Sorry, my phone.
I like that hardcore style of wrestling, especially like 90s ECW, not like the WWE version. No, not
absolutely not.
No,
absolutely not.
I like hardcore those matches, and then like in Japan they have like Big Japan Pro Wrestling and Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling, where it's just like these crazy high octane death match situations. They like their women's division with like FMW's women's division in the 90s, they were like crazy badass. And there's this one match that I always watch is Megumi Kudo versus Combat Toyota. It was in like an electrified barbed wire death match. And they were like, it was like for a title unification match. That match was insane. I always watch that match. And it was Combat Toyota's retirement match. So it was like a lot of things. It was insane. I mean, you had like barbed wire steel cage matches. Like these women were in there like doing all of it. And I think they were like going as hard, sometimes even harder than the men in those matches.
Yeah, you know, I feel like that sometimes. Like they go harder than the men sometimes, man. They do.
Those women, like they're badass, but they scare the hell out of you too.
I could imagine.
Yeah, so if you ever feel like watching like high octane stuff, like Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling, their women's division, it's amazing.
I have to watch some because me myself, I'm not gonna say I'm not into it. I have watched some death matches before, but it's not something I would just turn my TV on and watch. But I do want to check out some. I should, because they did that Dark Side of the Ring on Nick Gage, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know,
I learned some things about Nick that I didn't know previously, like that whole situation where he had a death match and he was like practically saying, "Oh, yeah, like I almost died."
Yeah, yeah. I was
and then homeboy, his opponent was pissed off because they had to drag Nick out. I'm like, bro, what's wrong with you?
But he's about to die, dude. Like, just relax. Let him, you know. That's the type of I guess some type of mentality they have with that, you know. They're like, well, come back in the ring, we're not finished. That's scary to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. But seeing that you're like working on your training to get back in the ring, so what is like the style or styles that you want to go for?
So I haven't wrestled. Let me just start by saying I haven't wrestled in probably 7 years. My daughter's going to be 7 this year, so that's the last time I've wrestled. But my style is and was going to be wasn't is going to be submissionist. I'm going to be like a submissionist and like a brawler, sort of, because like I'm tall, so like, and then I'm kind of strong. I don't want to like boast too much about it, but I'm strong, so I can use that to my advantage for both, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm still in the works of it. I'm still waiting on some people to get me in the ring, but we're almost there.
Yeah, I asked that because I like the brawler style. So I think it's great.
Yeah, okay.
I like brawler.
Awesome.
At first I did not like the submission style of wrestling, because I didn't really understand it, and then I started watching Bret Hart matches and Chris Benoit matches, and they would just put you in submissions, and it looks like, okay, they're trying to kill these people in these submissions. They're trying to break.
That's what I said too.
Right. Okay, I see it now. But I'm still
that's what I said too. That's funny.
I'm still a
because I was so opposed to it. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was just I was so opposed to it before. That's funny that you said that, because I saw the same thing, like Chris Benoit putting them in the crippler crossfade. I'm like, he's trying to break his neck. I don't think I would ever want to go through that or do that to somebody. So, but now it's like you gotta play safe. Like, it's a way to put people in moves so you won't hurt your opponent. It's a way to do your moves to the opponent without hurting them. You both have to be right here with one another so you don't get hurt. You know what I mean? So.
And then seeing women do it like Natalya, and these days Shayna Baszler, who I was a fan of her.
She's the best.
Yeah, I was a fan of hers when she was in MMA. So I'm also an MMA fan. So I've been following her since, I say, pre-UFC. So it's been quite a while. Then I saw her on Ultimate Fighter. I was like, oh, I remember her. And
you were frozen for a little bit. I didn't hear anything you said.
Oh, okay. I'm back.
Is it my connection? Okay, yeah, you are. I hear you now.
Okay. So basically, I was saying that I had got into Shayna while she was still in MMA, and then she retired from MMA, moved to pro wrestling. She wrestled on the indies for a little bit before she went to WWE, but her submissions, they look like they're painful too.
Yes.
And then you can tell the way she's built, it looks super strong. She'll probably kill you too. So that's what I'm big on. I'm getting a little bigger on submissions. And then a good old high flying match, especially Rey Mysterio and 𝘱𝘰𝘠𝘭𝘪𝘯. I would say Eddie Guerrero too. Yeah. But he does have that hard hitting style a little bit, because he was
he does. Right. He was built he was muscle. Eddie was really muscle, So when he did jump through that frog splash though, he got air. So that was one of my favorite things to watch. But Eddie, I was just where's the frog splash? I want to see the frog splash, I loved Eddie so much.
Yeah. And I think another thing for me was when you see those high flying moves, especially when it's done really fast, I enjoy it. I know I remember when Ray was in WCW, he was a little smaller than what he was before he
was so tiny.
He was so tiny, but he moved so fast. Yeah. So you have to really have your eyes glued to the TV.
Yes. And that was the best part. That was the best part for me, is watching him going back and forth, oh my God, where's he gonna go next?
Yeah. I have a soft spot for the WCW cruiserweight division, because it was just so high impact. And I also mentioned 𝘱𝘰𝘠𝘭𝘪𝘯. He was up there with Ray and Eddie in terms of high flying, but he's not really mentioned as much, probably because he wasn't as popular as Ray and Eddie. But he was amazing too, and he could go.
He was great. He was great. I don't think, honestly, well, we do have a great cruiserweight division in WWE, but I don't think there'll ever be another one like WCW's.
Yeah.
Ever. They were so, I don't know if you ever saw that match between him and Eddie Guerrero versus Ray in WCW, but that match is to me, I've watched it 3 or 4 times maybe, in my life. It's such a good match. They were just all over the place. And it was just amazing.
And except the people out of their seats too. They were just oh my God, what are they gonna do next?
Right.
So I think another question I would have, I'm kind of curious about what people think about the cinematic matches or cinematic segments that they do in pro wrestling. They kind of really got into it with Lucha Underground, which I was a huge fan of. Yeah, I enjoy Lucha Underground. I'm sad that it's not like really coming on anymore. I don't think it is. They're trying to bring it back, but I don't know yet. We'll see what happens. But I watched Lucha Underground for free on this app called TV. All the seasons are up there, so I'll go back and watch it every now and then. I think they accomplished like that goal of having like cinematic segments, but along with like promoting like their wrestlers like as supernatural beings. And then you see in WWE with like, you know, Bray Wyatt and like his firehouse matches. I forgot how.
Firefly Funhouse. That's a tongue twister.
Yeah, and then like with Alexa Bliss, like doing like supernatural like things like during her matches. Would you see yourself doing like those kinds of matches, or do you enjoy the concept of those matches, or do you feel like it kind of takes away from like what wrestling is about? Because you have like one side of people like they like to enjoy it and it's like interesting, and then the other side is just like, this isn't wrestling, you should be doing this. So
right, yeah, I've heard those people. Yeah, so with me, I enjoy watching it. Like the first one, remember, I think it was The Undertaker versus AJ Styles. That's the first one I saw, because I didn't know they did it in Lucha Underground, and I'm a big fan, so I was like, wow. But yeah, I don't think I would do one, but I love to watch one. Like it's pretty interesting because I love the concept of movies. I don't watch them, but I do like the concept of it in wrestling, if that makes sense. But I wouldn't want to be in it. I don't think I could do that, because I know it's scripted anyway, but that's a little too scripted for me. You get what I'm saying? So like, I don't think I would do it myself personally.
I think for me, it's kind of like they try to like mix like the acting along with like trying to do like the wrestling spots, and then it kind of like me personally gets a little cringy. I enjoy AJ Styles versus Undertaker. I was like, okay, this I think it wasn't too much, it wasn't too little, it was right where it needed to be. And but would I want to see it like frequently? Probably not.
Yeah. That's how I feel too. Like it's okay, maybe at a WrestleMania every here and then, but not every pay-per-view. I don't want to see that, you know? So it's good to watch every once in a while, but I wouldn't want to be in it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. And like sometimes it just makes you cringe. Probably because like they're trying like to act, and they're trying like to sell like whatever, like
right. And it's bad. Yeah, I don't want to say it's bad enough. It's like crazy enough that you have to act out in the ring, because you know you gotta spots and you gotta know the timing of what are you doing, and you and your partner gotta be right here, like I said earlier. But then you gotta act within acting. That's just like double overtime there, you know? That's too much. That's too much for me.
So enough of like wrestling. So how did you like get into, you know, like anime and, you know, comic books and those sorts of things?
That's interesting, because I feel like it's the same. Yeah, it's the same with wrestling. I feel like anime has always been there, because I was watching, like growing up, it was Cartoon Network. I was watching Toonami, and I was just watching Dragon Ball Z, and I just thought it was a regular cartoon. And then over the years, I was like, what is Japanese animated cartoons? You know, people were explaining to me that, older people, my cousins, they were explaining to me that it's anime. And I was like, what is this anime thing? So then I went online and saw some more anime, and I just got into it. I fell off a little bit, but I got into it then. That's how it was.
Ooh, I don't remember how I got into it. I think because I watched the English dub version of Sailor Moon, and I kind of like steer people away from that, because they take out key points of like the plot of the original Sailor Moon, and they try to like twist the story. So 2 of the characters, Haruka and Michiru, in the Japanese original version, it's obvious that they're lovers, right?
Right.
In the American version, they're painted as cousins or best friends or something.
You know what? They were cousins. I remember something like that.
I was like, bro,
it just boggled my mind. It boggled my mind, because I started with that as well, the English dub version. And then years later, I want to say I was fresh out of high school in California, I binge watched Sailor Moon, the Japanese Sailor Moon, all 1,000+ episodes. And I was like, number one, I was like, they left out so much. And number two, they're cousins? I mean, they're lovers? I was so confused. I was like, but they, like, I grew up thinking they were cousins related, but then I just found that they were lovers. I was like, wow, well, why did they hide this?
It was old
don't do that, you know?
I remember getting mad when their characters like were first introduced, because the way that they spoke to each other, it was clear as day that they had feelings for each other. So I was like, bro, why did you do this? Why did you do this?
Right. There's so much left out, and not even just that, like
they just messed up.
Oh no, I was listening to you.
They just messed up the whole thing.
Yeah.
Then like the theme song, like the opening theme, like at first I found it to be catchy. You know, I was younger, so it was just like it was whatever. But the Japanese Sailor Moon soundtrack is amazing. And it just sounds so much more
yes, ma'am, it is
fluid. So it's just like they messed up the theme song too. So
right, like what's going on here? Like I feel like Americans can't do that. You know, they can't really take over the Japanese thing. Like every time I see an anime on Netflix, I want it to be subbed because I don't want any dub because they leave out everything, you know?
Yeah. And another favorite of mine is Inuyasha. I love that anime so much.
I love Inuyasha too.
It's kind of underrated compared to other popular anime series, but I grew up on that anime. I just love it so much.
Me too.
My favorite character though is Seishomaru instead of Inuyasha.
I knew it. I knew it. Everybody around me loves Seishomaru.
I mean, I love Inuyasha too, but it was just something about Seishomaru. Maybe it was like the way like he was created and like his outfit, and, like his style, and just like the way that he transformed throughout the series. He was like so cold-hearted at the beginning, and then he develops like a soft side like towards the end. I was like,
I was so taken aback by that. I was like, he's being nice, you know. I love that anime.
It's really sad though. It's a tearjerker.
That's the only
thing that I like about it. I was like, why is this making me sad? Why?
You know, but that's just me. I feel like that's what anime I'm drawn to when I do watch anime. It's always the sad ones. I'm like, why did I come here? Why did I come to this sad anime? But no, I enjoy it. But
yeah, but the woman who wrote the manga, Rumiko Takahashi, she's written some of my favorite anime. Ranma 1/2. I don't think you watched that one. That's like an 80s anime.
I don't know that one.
So basically it's about the main character's name is Ranma, and he jumps into like this pond and it's cursed. So every time he jumps into water, he'll turn into a girl. And then I guess he's like splashed. Wait a minute, let me go back. So if he like douches in cold water, or he's like thrown into like cold water, he turns into a girl. But if like hot water or something steamy is like thrown on like the girl version of him, then he reverts back to a guy. And it's kind of like a curse that he's trying to break throughout the entire series. But the thing is,
that's interesting.
His father got like a curse too. He jumped into another cursed pond. But instead of like returning to like a woman, he turns into like a panda. So the whole show is crazy.
So he turned into a whole animal.
Yeah. And
what is this called? I think I might want to watch this later.
Ranma 1/2. And it's originally set in China. The two main characters are from China, but they moved to Japan to live in a residency of another family. The fathers of the families are friends, so they move in, and the girl, her name is Akane. She's like the main female character. She's like gets engaged to Ranma to kind of like marry into the family, but she could not stand Ranma at all. But it's pretty obvious that they have feelings for each other. So it's kind of like see how like their feelings for each other develop throughout the show. And she has to deal with like Ranma being turned into a girl and back into a guy. And she kind of like uses it to her advantage to like one up him or something. It's like when she gets mad at him, she'll like throw cold water on him and turns him into a girl.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
It's a mess.
It's probably something I do in real life. No, I'm just joking. I wouldn't do that in real life, but no, I think I'm gonna watch that because like I used to cosplay. I used to go to Comic-Con here in New York at the Jacob Javits Center all the time, but Like I fell off of that because like I said, kids and working, I used to work a lot back in the day. So like I fell off of it, but I kind of want to get back into anime. It's just the community here in New York. I'm not sure how it is where you live, but here in New York, they're so toxic and they take the fun out of it. You know, I love anime, I do, but they take the fun out of it, you know? So I just want to get back into it somehow.
We're just, I think, among like my anime friends, we kind of like just chill and we kind of like exchange like animes that we haven't watched and kind of like just recommend it to each other. And I personally like an anime with a very good soundtrack. I'm attracted to animes that have good music, especially like Cowboy Bebop.
That's good.
Like Cowboy Bebop and Samurai.
Oh, I love that one. I love that one.
Especially Samurai.
You would like this one then. You would like this one then. This one has a bomb like opening theme. It's like, oh God, I gotta get the name for you. It's funny that I have the shirt and I forget the name, but I gotta watch it again. It's like I said, I fell off. But this anime, I'll shoot you the name of it and you can watch it. It's really good. Dope soundtrack. I actually downloaded it right after I heard it for the first time.
It's a Korean anime, right?
Yeah.
I've never watched a Korean
his
anime.
name is 𝘮𝘰𝘰𝘭𝘪𝘯.
I've never
Well,
watched
they're not talking Korean, but like their names. Yeah, I don't think they're speaking in Korean, but like their names and like where they are, they're in Seoul. They're in Seoul, Korea, I think. And they're like, I think it's God of High School. Yeah, it's God of High School. That's what it's called.
Oh.
And his name is 𝘮𝘰𝘰𝘭𝘪𝘯. It's like like they fight. They literally like, they're martial artists in the school and they fight to see who's the king of high school or God of high school. Wow. They fight it out. They literally, there's females in it and there's males in it. And this one female, I forget her name too, but she kicks like everybody's behind in that school. She's badass, for real.
Okay, this I have to see.
Yes, no, for real. It's really cool.
I don't know. It's just like my fascination with like Japanese culture. I don't know when and how it started. I think it all started with anime.
Me neither.
And then after a while,
it
turned into music. And I started listening to J-pop. I think I was more into J-rock than J-pop, but I listened to both heavily. And then after a while,
I think that was the same thing for me. That's funny.
After a while, I think around 2013, 2014, I shifted over to Korean culture, because I have friends who they either speak the language or they are Korean. Like my closest friend, she actually studied abroad in Korea for about a year recently, and she loves it. Absolutely loves it. So,
I want to go so bad.
I really want to go. I told her, I was just like, one day we're gonna go back together because I really need to go. And
yeah, no, it's on my bucket list to go to South Korea.
Yeah, I don't even know how I got into K-pop. Oh, that's a lie. I do know. It was through Psy. He sung Gangnam Style. And I was like,
oh my goodness. We love Psy.
There was this girl in the music video that was dancing beside him. She was so pretty. I was like, who is that? Then I found out that it was Hyuna. They like worked
Hyuna from 4 Minute.
Yeah, and then I listened to her song Bubble Pop, and that's how I went down the rabbit hole.
That song was so popping. That song was so popping back in 2014. I was actually an earlier K-pop fan. I think I started out with J-pop as well. Like you said, I was into wavy in high school. When I was in high school, it was like 2006. So yeah, I was into wavy, and then it branched out to K-pop. I was into 21. I was into Big Bang. I was into Girls' Generation. When I could tell them apart, because there's like 9 girls in that one group, and I was just like, I can't tell them apart. You know,
I know,
so
that was the thing
I
for
did
me.
that.
It was just like, even in Japan, you have like so many members in a group, like AKB48.
Yes.
I was like, I'm sorry, like I'll listen to the songs, but I'm not even gonna try to figure out who the members are. I'll listen to
Right. I was just like, oh my gosh, how many people do you need for this one group? You guys don't need any backup dancers. You have each other. You know what I mean? It's like so many people in one group. But yeah, that's when I started. Around 2009-ish is when I got into K-pop.
Yeah, and
I think it was
my
YG.
thing with the K-pop groups is just like, I don't mind like the group like concept, but sometimes they put too many members in the group. Like Super Junior,
That's it.
13 members. NCT.
I still can't tell apart Super Junior to this very day, and I know all of their songs. I can't tell them apart for nothing. No, I can't.
And then NCT. I'm like, what in the world? You have like over 30 people, and then they're separated into sub-units.
IOI too. I don't know if they're even still a thing. IOI.
They're
right?
not together anymore.
Like I'm not even sure.
They're not together anymore.
See, look how late. Yeah, there were so many of them too.
I love them though. They were so great.
They were cute.
Their song, very, very, very. I still listen to it in my head. And
yeah, you know what? It's another. What's that song from them? They were. Everybody was like doing a little dance that year. I forget the name of the song, but it's in my head. It's a dance in my head that they were doing. Yes, that one. Pick Me. That's what it was. That's exactly what it was. It is. It's such a cute song.
And then I like the newer groups like Blackpink, Red Velvet, 17. I was a BTS fan, but after a while,
so much of them now.
They got a little too big for me. Like around 2017, like it. I was like, I can't even enjoy them no more.
Yeah, after that, right. And then they have thing at McDonald's now, and I was just like, wow, I don't even eat McDonald's. They're everywhere now. Like they're everywhere. That's the only thing that gets it for me. It's like I can enjoy you, but the fandoms that they ruin it. K-pop fandoms sometimes ruin it. Like I don't know if you remember EXO.
I love that.
If you remember them.
I can't even enjoy.
Yes. It. You know what I mean? Like the fandoms ruin it for me with K-pop. I'm gonna enjoy my K-pop. I'm not gonna be on the forums with you guys because that's where it ruins it for me, you know?
Yeah, and I think like my issue is when I get into a group, there'll be like one or two members that stick out to me the most, and then I kind of like enjoy them over the other members, and then I feel bad. Like with Big Bang, like, I love G-Dragon and Taeyang. Those are my two favorite members.
Me too.
Me too. Especially GD. But I admit, when I first saw Big Bang, like I had like the biggest crush on Taeyang, and then after a while, kind of shifted to GD.
My sister, you and my sister both. Oh my goodness.
And I think because I gravitated to GD because of his like solo music, like he was like a soloist,
right?
Probably since like the beginning of Big Bang, he was like dropping solo songs. So I was like listening to him.
He was there actually the longest time out of all the members. He was there from when he was like a kid.
I know, that's crazy. That's the craziest thing about K-pop. It's like the training system. I looked up G-Dragon. He like trained for 11 years before he debuted. I was like,
yeah,
bro,
the things they go through. The things they go through in Korea. I don't think I could. I don't think I could go through it.
No.
I don't think so.
And the Twice member, Gio, she trained for 10 years before she debuted with Twice.
At YG?
At JYP.
Oh, probably at JYP, right. Wow.
In the world.
Wow.
She was there when Wonder Girls was making their debut, like 2007.
Yeah, Wonder Girls are 2007, right? I was gonna say around that time. I was still in high school when Wonder Girls came out. I was like in 10th grade. It was a long time ago.
What so in crazy. The world? Korean. I don't think I could go through like what they did, but it's some.
Yeah, because Koreans are like perfectionists. They want everything to be perfect, literally. And I can't take away from it because we love K-pop, but geez.
Then after K-pop, I got into the K-dramas, and then I started getting to like the actors and actresses.
Girl.
Especially the actors.
Yes, ma'am. Oh my God.
There's this one actor from my favorite K-drama, the Goblin, and his name is Lee Dong-wook.
Oh.
He plays the Grim Reaper, and he's
my favorite. He's one of my favorite actors. I love him.
When I first saw him, I was like, there's no way this man is Korean. Because I thought he was from the West.
He looks so Western. Yeah, he looks so Western, but he's full Korean.
This man is not Korean.
Yeah, right? He looks like his features are that of like a European man or something. And I was like, this man is Korean.
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, is he from Europe? I don't think he's Korean. But I looked him up and I was like, yeah, he's full-blood Korean. Blew my mind. But
it's crazy.
The first drama I ever watched though was Boys Over Flowers. And it was
I know
it's beyond cringy. It was cringy. That acting was like, oh, it was a little toxic for me too. Especially like the main male character, he was being like a douchebag.
What is that guy's name? Lee something. I forget his name too.
I think it's Lee Min-ho. He played like the main.
Lee Min-ho. That's it. That's his name.
His character was a douchebag to that girl, that poor girl, throughout the whole series. Then they wound up falling in love at the end. And then like the other,
I thought she was gonna go to the other guy who was treating her better, who made the song for her. Come on now.
Made me mad. I was pulling for them to be together too. And then she was
me too. I thought they were gonna get married and everything.
Like,
like not the toxic relationship. What is happening?
And that's the thing.
It made me cry. It did. I'm not gonna lie. That was a tearjerker too. But I was just like, but no, you're supposed to be with him.
It was a mess. But the thing is, the other dude, I don't even think he was like as interested in her romantically, especially in the beginning, because he was like interested in another girl, but she was just like, she put him in a friend zone.
Oh, right.
So that made me mad too. Like,
right.
Boy, it's pouring out his heart.
Exactly.
He's pouring out his heart.
And then you just go to the.
Just gonna leave him.
Oh my goodness! I can't
leave the country.
Right. Left the whole country and left him heartbroken. Bye. Wow, that's insane. There's another actor I love in Korea. I don't forget. Hyunbin. He played in a lot of dramas, but the one that I like the most is called. My memory's so bad. Well, I'm gonna just tell you what it's about. I'll get the name for you, but it's like they were in North Korea. He was stationed in North Korea, and this girl, she's like famous, you know, some famous actress in South Korea, and she went hang gliding. For some reason, she felt so stressed, she went hang gliding, and a freaking tornado hit, and she ended up in North Korea.
What?
She ended up in North Korea and ran into him, some handsome man in North Korea. She's like, oh, we got to get help. She's thinking she's still in South Korea, but no, honey, you're in North Korea. You're trapped. So they had to hide her out there, whatever. It's just a whole thing. But he's another one of my favorite actors, Hyunbin. That she was just a whole mess trying to get her back to South Korea. They crossed the border. They almost got killed. I was like, what is happening? Just because she wanted to go hang gliding on a day where a tornado wanted to come.
That's too much.
It was so much.
Another favorite drama of mine was Strong Woman, Do Bong-soon. I love that one.
Oh, I remember that one too.
I remember when
that was a good one.
When I was still in college, me and my friends, we would binge watch that on Netflix, and we were pulling for like the main couple the whole time. And I remember the first time that they kissed, we went nuts. We were like all
nuts, crazy.
It was so good. It kept you glued to the screen. There were some moments where I did cringe, like some of the scenes, especially like the CGI effects, like trying to like make her look like really strong. Like she's like this little petite girl, and she's like trying to be this strong woman with supernatural power. So it was a little cringy with how they went about it, like the editing and whatnot. Right. I still enjoyed it, and I like the soundtrack too.
Yeah, it was a nice one. Oh yeah, I didn't catch the soundtrack. The soundtrack to Boys Over Flowers was pretty good. It gave me that nostalgic anime feel. I don't know if you know what I mean, like the 80s type thing. I was like, oh, this is cute, because they have little ballads. Yeah. There's another K-drama that I recently watched on Netflix. This one I remember the name. It's called Miss Panda and Mr. Hedgehog. Oh, that one. Did you watch that one? It was so cute. Her little face, she is so adorable. I was just like, why is her face so small? She does look like a panda. She's so cute. I was crying in that one though, because I was like, the whole time, that's his grandson and that's his mom. Like he's living with these people thinking that they're strangers, that they, you know, but those are his family. It was mind-boggling. Crazy. It was crazy.
That plot.
Koreans really know how to make you cry. Like,
I think one that I watch, I like the ones with like the crimes and like the thriller ones. So I watched Prison Playbook on Netflix. That one was really good. And
that I saw that one run across my TV. I should watch that.
Yeah. And I keep forgetting like what it was about. Basically this the main character, he was like a baseball player, like a baseball star in Korea, and He went to jail for assaulting another dude, but that man was trying to sexually assault his sister, the baseball player's sister. So I'm just like, how he gonna get the jail time? But anyway,
right. What happened?
That's a mess, a whole mess like that right there. Maybe bad. So basically, it's kind of like detailing like his time in jail and like when he ultimately gets out and trying to like get back out into the world. Then he like encounters like people from his past, like his ex-girlfriend, who was played by Crystal from FX. She was in that drama.
I love her.
Yeah, she was in that drama.
Wow.
She played his ex-girlfriend. So it's a really good drama.
FX is another slept-on group.
Don't get me started.
Now that you mentioned FX, I'm just like, wait, that's another one that slept on because, oh my gosh. Sully, not to get too off topic, but like, do you remember Sully from FX?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Poor baby. Like,
that made me so sad. And
it did, but yeah, back on topic. Crystal was great. Crystal was great. As an actress, she surprised me. I was like, wow, she's pretty good.
She's actually a really good actress.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people give her enough credit for it, but she's really good.
They don't. They don't. Who else is a good actress that's like from like a group? Dara. I don't know if you know a bunch about 21. You said you were like a little later in the K-pop scene. Okay, so then you know Sandara Park. She's great too. Like she's a great actress as well. I don't know of any Korean movies she played. Like, because she played in a lot of Filipino movies. I know that.
Yeah, she's very popular in the Philippines. It's kind of like unique though.
Absolutely.
She had like a following in the Philippines, and then she decided to go to Korea and like train like a couple years before debut. I think it was pretty cool on her part to like go through that. But YG did them dirty, and I'll never.
Oh my gosh, I can't ever forgive YG. Like I like Blackpink, don't get me wrong, but then all my friends who love 21 who are around me, they're like always saying, "Oh, but this song sounds like 21." I'm like, it doesn't. I mean, some of like the new things when they first came out, and I went, what was it, 2016 when they first came out, when they debuted, it did sound like 21. I was a little like, come on, like it's fresh. Yeah. The wound is still fresh, you know what I mean?
It's just like,
but after a while I was like, oh, they got their own sound, you know?
Yeah. 𝘮𝘮𝘭𝘪, it was just like, it reminded me of like a 21 song. And I know people will get mad.
You know what I mean?
It does. Like
they're gonna get mad.
Like they're earlier. And actually, one of their songs, one of Blackpink's songs, was recorded by 21, Forever Young. And I was just like, told you.
I was like, oh gosh, see? Right. But I don't hate on them. I like Blackpink. I mean, I like them. I got over. I'm not gonna say I got over 21 because I'm still mad, but they're doing good. What they're doing now.
Yeah, CL, she's going solo. You know, she finally dropped an EP.
I'm so happy for her. So happy.
She's finally dropping the album after 10 years of waiting. I was like,
I cannot believe it's taking so long because I feel like because I heard YG didn't want her to come to America and do her thing. I was just like, why?
She has,
you know what I mean?
I don't know. Crossover if she wanted to. Like she has that ability.
Yeah.
Not a lot of.
She speaks perfect English, you know, like.
Yeah.
Right.
But now
YG, I'm still mad at YG.
Well, he like messed up with 21. He's trying to like make up for Blackpink, to be honest. And they're doing good.
That's exactly what I thought.
I admit they're doing good. You know, all of the members are multilingual. They speak multiple languages. 3 of the members speak English.
That's actually a plus.
Yeah, 3 of the members speak.
Only 3? I thought it was all 4. Oh.
𝘱𝘰𝘰𝘭𝘪𝘯, she's like learning English, but she's not like entirely fluent. Yeah, so but she can speak.
I know one of them aren't Korean. I don't think Lisa's from Thailand, I believe. No.
Yeah, Lisa's.
Yeah, I love her.
She's amazing, and she speaks multiple languages.
I love her.
I was like, dang girl, okay.
Yeah. And then some of them even learn it while they're training. I'm like, it took, because I know Korean, and it took me, I want to say like 3 years to learn it. Like 3 years, and they learn it like that. It's like,
I recently started studying
That's
Korean,
a lot.
so I only know a little bit. But yeah,
That's good. It's easy once you get it. It's easy.
It's insane. I'm just like, but they do have that global appeal because they can speak multiple languages.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
even in their music, you know, they can go from Korean to English or Japanese to English, whatnot. And it sounds like fluid. It doesn't like sound like, oh, okay, we can tell like they're not fluent in the language. They're just like singing the lyrics.
Right.
So, yeah,
Right.
it works, but I'm still mad at YG.
Can't even. Like I used to follow when 21 broke up. I unfollowed him on Instagram and everything. I was like, okay, I'm mad, and I never followed him again. That's how it is. Cause I'm a blackjack for life, man. For life.
But I also got like to like K hip hop and K R&B. That's how I got into like Jay Park and Dean.
I love him. I love Jay Park.
I love Dean too, but he's only dropped one EP since 2016. And
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, you overdue. He's overdue for some more stuff. Who else do I like? Jessie. Jessie killing it.
Yes.
Jessie is killing it.
I'm glad she's finally getting the attention she deserves.
Because she had a lot of good stuff before she joined Psy's record label, but now she's getting, like you said, the recognition she deserves because she wasn't getting it before. Now she deserves it. She does. I love her.
She's amazing. I'm trying to figure out who else do I like.
Not a lot of K-pop that I listen to nowadays. I know a lot of old ones. That's about it.
I listen to like K hip hop, K R&B a lot nowadays. There's this one rapper under Jay Park's record label named Simon Dominic. He's amazing. And he's very handsome. all of those rappers
I think it should be illegal for them to be that fine. I can't.
There's also this rapper.
It should be illegal.
This rapper from Show Me the Money. He was on Show Me the Money, like the rap competition, and then he was actually signed to YG for like a brief period of time. His rap name is his rap name is One. Like that's like his rap name. I don't know why, but he's gorgeous.
I know him.
Yeah, he's gorgeous.
I think I know him.
He has his own record label now, so he's actually dropped a studio album recently. I was like, thank you. Because he was like trying to get it like done while he's at YG, but he was like, YG wanted him to be an actor.
YG.
So he was like doing acting roles.
I mean, yeah, but
I mean, he has an actor.
That's cool, like, but no
face. But I'm just like,
that's what it is about YG. Right, that's what it is about YG. He's all about this and not about talent. You know what I mean? Because he wanted CL to do plastic surgery, and CL was like, no. I'm gonna keep my face. You know what I mean? That's why I'm like, YG, please.
I remember one of the 21 members, I think it was CL, said like flat out said that YG called them ugly to their faces. That pissed me off.
Oh my God. And poor baby Park Bone. I love her to death, but she did so much to her face. Oh my God.
Yeah. You can tell like
but we love Bone. I love Park Bone, but baby, oh my goodness, so sad. I mean, but Koreans love plastic surgery. They do. And if you tell them they had it, they'll just say thank you. You know, they love it.
It is very, very true. I think one group that I wasn't like heavy on in the beginning, but now I'm like getting into their like their earlier stuff is Twice. And the reason I say that is because they had like that very cutesy concept. And I wasn't like a big fan of that after a while because I was like cringing. But now I'm listening to their earlier songs. I'm just like, I must have missed out on something. Their songs are really good.
I like their first album. I want to say that was their first album, the blue cover. I remember it being downloaded on my iPod way back in the day. It was a blue cover. I don't know what the name of it was, but their first album was really good to me. But then after that, I was just like, oh gosh, you guys are too cute. Like they kept the cutesy thing, and I was just like, oh man. Because all the Korean pop looked the same at that time. Because that's why I fell off. I was just like, it's too much. All this cute stuff.
They're now doing like more mature stuff. I'm just like,
they are.
The Lord. I'm like, these are 20, early to mid 20s women.
Sorry.
Time to change it up.
the city back here making noise.
But it's just like they're like in their early to mid 20s now. It's time to change it up.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Women out here singing cutesy stuff.
Like, can we please get it grown a little bit, you know? And then another group that I was saying that to, too, now that you mentioned that, was Teen Top. I don't know if you remember them, Teen Top. Mm-hmm. They were teenagers. But then I was like, well, what are you going to do when they're not teenagers anymore? Are they still going to be Teen Top, you know?
Yeah. They're like in group names, too. I like the simple group names, like Big Bang. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Right.
They even made like a whole song off their group name. It was like
they did
B to the A and G, and it stuck. Like it sticks with you.
And it's just catchy. All their songs were like so catchy. I miss them.
Yeah.
I miss K-pop like that. I mean, K-pop like that is good now, but like, you know, groups aren't the same to me anymore.
Yeah. And then a group in YG named Winner. I was like, what?
I loved them at first. I did, but then I was like, wow, you guys are too much like Big Bang.
Exactly.
Like to me, they were getting there.
Yeah, their earlier work is like 2014, 2017. Winner is the best. But after that, it's kind of like, I'm not as much into them anymore.
Yeah, and then there was one guy in there, I don't know if it's Mino or Mino. He looks just like GD, so I was just like,
it's Mino.
I was like, wow, they found his brother. It's him, you know that one, right? Yeah, he looks just like GD to me. So I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, Mino was actually supposed to be in another like K-pop group. He was supposed to be in Block B, which is like Zico's K-pop group. They all were supposed to be in
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I remember that.
I was like, bro.
That's really crazy. They were. I love Block B though. Their sound was different. They were more like hip hop rock type of thing. Like their songs went hard, like a rock song, but it was still like rap, like hip hop, you know, and K-pop. It was cool. Yeah. I like Block B.
I remember listening to Very, Very Good by Block B. I was like, what is this?
Yes, that song.
It was chaotic.
That song.
It was really, really good. And it's like, wow.
Right.
And there was another song by them too that I like. I think it was, Her. That song. I love that song.
I was gonna say it's Her, right? It's on the same album, that song and Her.
And I just like Zico's solo music too. Here I go again, liking
oh yeah, solo stuff.
Yeah, Zico, yeah, he's amazing.
Wow, see, I really fell off.
Yeah, he has like an EP.
I didn't even know he had any solo stuff.
My favorite EP of his, I think it's called Television. It's only like 6 songs, but it's like really, really good. And he has like this super group that he's in with Dean, the R&B singer, and another R&B singer, Crush. It's like this group called Fancy Child, and they have like a song on the album together. It's amazing.
Okay. I gotta check that out. I like
Zico's solo work. He's pretty good.
Okay, that's dope. He reminds me of GD, but like in a more hardcore way, if that makes sense. Because GD is very dainty. Like he's dope. I love his music, but he's very dainty and like his style is very girly, but I like it on him. It fits him. Zico is very hardcore. I like his style.
I think GD is more like on the laid back side with like his rapping style. It's not
right.
Zico's is aggressive.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what I mean. Right. It's cool though. I love K-pop. It's like at one point I only listened to K-pop. Like that was the only thing I listened to. I didn't even listen to anything from here. Like I didn't know any new music from America. It was only K-pop. I knew everything about K-pop. Now
that was kind of like me too. That's kind of like me, not like K-pop, but like Latin music, because I love like Latin music. Like I post a lot in my stories. I listen to like J Balvin, Daddy Yankee, Maluma. Who else? Karol G, Danny Ocean.
Oh, I love Karol G.
A lot of people. Becky G, she's singing Spanish. Bad Bunny, I love Bad Bunny.
Oh yeah, I know her.
Don't get me started on Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny.
I've been with him since the beginning.
He got a newfound respect from me this year. Okay, yeah, I loved his music before. Like, you know, when I used to work at the salad store, like they used to play it all the time because there was predominantly Spanish people that worked there with me. I was like, who is this guy? He sounds dope, you know? So then I looked him up, but then when he started wrestling, I was just like, wow. So yeah, Bad Bunny is cool.
I think I started following him. I was like on SoundCloud. That's how I was like listening to like my Korean like hip hop and R&B songs that I couldn't find on Spotify. So I was on SoundCloud. And then after a while, I started looking at like some like Latin music on Spotify, and like in my recommendations, there were like Bad Bunny all over it. I was like, who is this? So I listened to one of his songs. I can't remember the name of it. And then I was hooked. I was just like, who is this? And I've been like following him.
Right.
All the albums. He has like a lot of singles though. He's like featured on everybody's song. So it's like hard.
He does.
Like,
yeah.
Every time you turn around, there's a new single.
Yeah.
And a feature on it. Hey, how are you?
I know, like when I first heard him, it was on Cardi B's song, that I Like It song. I was like, who is this guy talking about? Eddie Guerrero and who else? It was Superfly Slicker. They said in the line. I was like, oh, they know about wrestling. That's what attracted me to them. I was like, oh, yeah, they know about wrestling. That's funny.
I saw like an interview.
That was a cute little thing.
I saw an interview with him where it's kind of like those YouTube videos where it's like 10 things you can't live without, and he had like the replica of like the World Heavyweight Championship belt, and then he was talking about like his favorite wrestlers, like Stone Cold Steve Austin and Triple H. I was like, okay,
wow,
this is it.
This guy knows his stuff, right?
And then he like killed it at WrestleMania. Homeboy killed it at WrestleMania.
That shocked me. Canadian Destroyer? I was like, excuse me. You got it. You know, because everybody was always like, oh, what do you... Yeah, right. He was doing everything. And I was like, you know, people were asking me prior to WrestleMania, what do you think he's going to do? I was like, I don't know. Because like I was scared, like, because they always do celebrity matches like dirty. They just put him in there 1, 2, 3 and that's it. But no, he gave us a fight. Like he did.
And then they won the match.
I was surprised.
This is awesome.
Exactly. That's the best part. Because if he would have did all that and lost, I'd have turned off the TV.
Yeah, and then they gave him like the 24/7 championship, and they let him run with that.
Right, and they even kept him. I thought he was gonna go after WrestleMania, but they even kept him for a little stint after that, so that was good.
Yeah, he did.
That was good. He did good. I was happy to see that.
Wow. So we've talked about a lot over the past hour.
We did.
So
we've been on here for an hour already. Wow.
Yeah. Time flies. So being that you're preparing to get back in the ring, what are some of the things that you're looking forward to the most?
Oh my goodness. I guess just going in general, because there's a lot of, I'm not going to speak too much, but there's a lot of people who don't believe that I can. So just the fact that I'm going back is just enough. You know what I mean? And maybe like my wrestling, the move set that I have in my head is going to be amazing. And like the character, like everything. I'm just so excited about getting back into the ring. Just the adrenaline itself. Cause like, you know, during the pandemic and being at home with my kids, it's like I needed that rush to get me back. You know what I mean? I need that rush. I just need something. So I just can't wait for people to see just everything I bring. Promos, gear, style, everything.
Yeah, and last but surely not least, how can people get in touch with you on social media? You have like a brand going on for you.
Yeah, so everything is AsToldByRena, except for TikTok. It has 2 A's at the end, but everything is AsToldByRena. I have a website, AsToldByRena.com, and I'm gonna launch some merch soon. I should have wore it today, but it's in the laundry. But I have merch coming soon. We're gonna release it probably by my daughter's birthday, which is like the end of summer. So look out for that. And yeah, that's about it.
All right. This has been awesome. Just to like talk about all of my
I was so excited for this.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking part in this interview. I'm looking forward to seeing everything you have in store in the next coming months.
Thank you.
And yeah, and let's just keep in touch because this was a great talk.
Thank you.
We got to chat more. Okay. So
yes, we do. I'm so excited for the next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
And bye, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.